Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Matt. Well, look, I mean, quite staggering scenes over the last 24 hours. The announcement, literally about 20 hours ago, took everyone by surprise with how quickly it came out. But yes, it is very interesting to see how, despite the fact that the EU said there would be no other deal, and the deal on the table that Mrs May was presented with was the deal, and the fact that the British have said, well, there are certain red lines over Northern Ireland, both have found a spirit of compromise. And of course, Mr Johnson was lauding his deal yesterday with the British government in force in Brussels. Let's hear from what Mr Johnson had to say when he concluded the deal.
And I hope very much now, speaking of elected representatives, that my fellow MPs in Westminster do now come together to get Brexit done, to get this excellent deal over the line, and to deliver Brexit without any more delay, so that we can focus on the priorities of the British people.
So Boris Johnson there, seemingly confident that he can get this deal through the British Parliament, Westminster behind me tomorrow. But of course, behind that confidence, there are grave concerns, as you heard from some of the sound beforehand, of whether he can get over the line. The numbers game is what everyone is playing at the moment, and working out where the various tribes here in Parliament stand as regards this new deal. The key point, of course, which everybody has been making since the first announcement from the DUP, from Arlene Foster, talking about not being able to back this, is were the Conservatives able to get the numbers? And without those 10 DUP members of Parliament that you mentioned, it seemingly is an uphill task for Mr Johnson. Looking at the various tribes and the numbers, basically people are saying that he could get very, very close, could get nearer than Mrs May did, with somewhere in the region of 310 to 320 MPs voting for him. If he gets to the latter end of that, he'll just get over the line, because as your viewers I'm sure are aware by now, having to look at this for the last 3 years, there are 650 MPs in the British Parliament. Sinn Féin does not take up its 7 seats. Another 4 are taken up by the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker and tellers as well, so you can take those out. So 639 is the number. You need to get 620 to get over the line. Can you do that, given the fact that the government doesn't have a majority? That remains to be seen. A lot of intricacies which we can discuss in a bit more detail.
Yeah, a crucial weekend then, Steve. So what happens from here? Of course, it doesn't pass. If they don't get the numbers, what happens next?
Well, talking about those numbers, then I can talk you down the path of what could happen next. Basically, there are circa 287 Tory MPs, including the so-called Spartans, who are these pretty much 28 hardcore ERG, European Research Group members as well, who previously have taken their lead from the DUP, have previously said, look, if the DUP like it, we'll go with it. If they don't, we won't. But there is definitely a discernible split between the Spartans within the Conservative Party and the DUP. So it looks like he may well be able to count on most of those as well. The question is, can he count on the independent Conservatives who lost the Tory whip? There were originally 21. Sam Jimia defected to the Liberal Democrats, but then Amber Rudd joined that 21 as well. So it's roughly the same kind of number. Will most of them vote for it? Apparently, the mood music around Westminster is that up to 18 of them potentially will as well. Then he's going to rely on independents, perhaps 1 Liberal Democrat, and maybe 7 to 15 Labour MPs would be needed to go against the Labour whip, which would be voting against this deal in order to get it over the line. The key question then is, what happens? Well, if he gets it over the line, that's it. Brexit almost certainly will happen on October 31st. If he doesn't, we're back to all of those other scenarios that, Matt, you've discussed with us on Capital Connection many times, including a general election, a vote of no confidence, possibly a caretaker government. A hard Brexit can still not be counted out as well. An extension to Article 50, because on Saturday, tomorrow, is also the date under the Benn Act, which was basically an act which was put in by Parliament to force Boris Johnson to ask for an extension rather than having a no deal. And of course, there is the old favourite, a second confirmatory referendum as well. So all of those options will be on the table, potentially, if Boris Johnson doesn't get his numbers.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now, to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.